Hey there, Kim Kunkel here, owner and designer over EasyDigitals.com, Photoshop backgrounds and templates for photographers. Today, I want to show you how to customize this Epic Dreams layered backdrop set. And it's a new set by one of my designers. I'm super excited about it and a lot of people love it. So let's go ahead and get started. When we start, it's going to look like this, and when we're finished, it's going to look like this. All right, so I'm going to come over to File and Open. And I'm going to come to my Epic Dreams 8x10. When you first open it, you're going to see that it has all these layers, and these first 3 layers are basically to change the effects of the entire composite, and you can certainly turn these off and you can change them as well. So right now it's got a warming filter on, but if you wanted to, you could change it to any other of these filters. And you can press your arrow key down to go through them all. Then you're going to have your crest layers, which this is just an informational layer right here to say crest layers below. When you arrow down to right here where it says crest floor shadow and press shift, this selects all of the crest, and you can resize it all at one time and move it by doing that. So that's an important one to know about. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now and press the check mark. So then you have these glows, which you can change the colors of the glow to red or whatever color you want. So that's kind of neat. And you can do the same thing with all these. And you have confetti. You can see when I turn it off what it looks like. You have a lot of particles. There's also some layers that I don't have on that you can certainly play with. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off for now because we don't need those. Okay, so let's go ahead and get working with our player. So I'm going to click File and Open, and I'm going to click on my basketball player. And I'm just going to right click him, duplicate layer. Actually, let me go ahead and make sure this time that I put him in the right layer. I'm going to come over to right here, your photo here. And then I come over to my basketball player, right click, duplicate layer, and look for the Epic Dreams, click OK. Then I come over here and he's already in place. Now, if I happen to not put that in the right spot, then I can just drag it around and move it to the right spot. And you may not want it in this spot. You may need it in a different spot for how you want to do your composite. But that's how you do it. Now my player is in place. And let's go ahead and start customizing this crest. The crest layers are here. Now I'm going to go ahead and change this. And I'm going to turn off the shadow layer. And I'm going to change it to MVP. Okay, I'm going to turn that layer off. Turn this one on and change it to MVP. Turn them both on. Now I grab both of these layers and I'm going to make them smaller. Press Enter. Now let me zoom in on this to show you something to be aware of. Okay, this shadow layer is causing a problem here. So if that happens to you, right now this isn't centered, which is why I'm going to select them. Let me see. Select these 2 layers. I transform and scoot it to the right, but it's still a problem. So I need to expand this shadow layer so that it covers it. It's just really for effect. So you could actually even turn it off, and then you wouldn't have that problem. And then it's also clipped. So if it comes unclipped, it's going to make it look strange. So let me unclip it. Release clipping mask. So now you can see how it doesn't look right. And so if you saw something like this and you were like, what's going on? Then you need to come over to this shadow layer right here and press Control G to clip it so that it's clipped to the word here. Okay, so now as you can see, there's a little bit of space above and below, so you can either stretch it out like this. You can change the font to where it's like a longer letter so that it doesn't do that, or you can change it to a warped text, which is, I'm going to show you how to do that. So you click on that, the word that you want to change, and then you can click on this warp, come to, I know this because I've played with it, bulge at 25% looks pretty good for this situation. And then I'm going to do the same thing right here so that it matches. And so I'm going to click right here and then click on the text. There's the color. So just to make it dramatic and show you, that's how you can change it. So that's, and you can, if you don't want to have this layer on, you can just turn that one off. Same thing with the name. You have 3 layers here. So I would go ahead and do them separately. And then hide that one. Turn this one on. And then turn them all on. And if something looks messed up, then you know you might have a typo on one of these. And let's say that the name doesn't fit, then you can resize it by pressing all 3 of these. Press the bottom one, press Control, Shift, so you have them all, and then you can resize it. Again, you're going to have to watch this shadow in this case and make sure that that looks right. But you can resize it, or you can change the font. If the name is longer, you may need to change that. And then this just is changed the same way as any other word, and you can also change the color right here. Now let's change the color of the crest. Right here where it says color change is where you double click that, and then you can pick a color in the uniform, or you can just choose a color. Usually in this range, if you want darker, and click OK. So I'm going to press Control 0 to look at the whole thing at one time. Now let's see what else this needs. We need to work on the smoke. So the smoke layer is here, and I'm going to grab my transform tool. I'm going to make the smoke larger, and I'm going to put it right behind him. Press Enter, and same with this one. And you can turn it so that it looks right. I'm going to press Control 0 so I can grab these handles and make them even bigger. Press Enter and Control 0 to see it. Okay, so let's talk about removing confetti if there's any confetti on his face or any place that you don't want it. I'm going to go ahead and come to my magnifying glass and just zoom in on his face. And I see there's some confetti on him that I don't like. I don't want it on his face. So I'm going to come to the confetti layer right here. And I'm going to grab my eraser tool and I'm just going to erase that. I have a soft brush, which you can select a soft brush, and then you can resize it by pressing the right and left bracket. And anyway, you can remove any confetti that you don't like. Sometimes it just looks, it hits the wrong spot and it just doesn't look right. So one more thing that I wanted to discuss is the crest placement. So if I do Control O to fit on screen, or Control 0, sorry, not O, 0. I want my crest to be behind, I want my crest to have like the confetti, some of the explosion particles on it. So I'm going to select my whole crest and I'm going to move it below the particles. So now I have these particles on my crest. And another thing I want to show you how to do is how to make changes just to this player. So I can grab this player and I can add a levels to it, and I can press Control G so that's only going to affect the player, and I can make changes to just the player with that. And I can also click Auto to see what Photoshop thinks that, or Elements thinks that I should do to it, and then I can make changes based on that. You can do the same thing with any other adjustments: brightness, hue saturation, gradient, color filters. You can add all those just to the player so that you can match it perfectly. And another thing you can do is you can do a photo filter on the whole thing once you get it changed. And I'm going to click filter, and then you just arrow through these and see if there's one that, like, I love these blues sometimes, and you can just see if there's one that you like. And then you can even increase or decrease the color of it. And then the brightness and contrast, you can also mess with that if you want to add more of that, and you can add more hue saturation. I'm going to add that. I can add more saturation to the whole image, or I can make it black and white, or I could just make the background black and white by putting this where, like, way down here underneath my player. So now just the background is black and white. So, and then don't forget that you can always make it into a hockey background. So I hope that this answers all of your questions that you may have. And if it doesn't, then be sure and let me know, because I will be happy to answer any of your questions about this set. Have a creative day.